Help me welcome Mark Jones. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Thanks. Let me scoot by and sit.
Hi, everyone. I normally kind of project my voice, so I don't know if I really truly need the mic, but I just want to say thanks so much, one, for Karen Steen and also Cass College for inviting me to speak in front of you today. It truly is an honor and a privilege to stand in front of you today to kind of tell my story. And I think Karen kind of summed it up, so I don't know why I need to really stand up here. But, the main thing that I really wanted to kind of let you know is the relationship that I personally have with Cass College and the relationship that my business, Dreisig, has with Cass College. Again, 21 years ago, again, I was playing professional football and didn't really know what I was going to be doing after I finished my football career. And all of a sudden, some things started happening, and I got into this apparel space. And the first thing that I did was, one, is I reached out to my sports agent at the time and my attorney at the time. And then I started trying to get my board together for Dreisig. And everybody was telling me the same thing. Mark, you don't have a clue about apparel, so how are you going to run an apparel company? And I said, one is I know about sports, I know about business, but they said you got to go out and you have to try to get some people on your board that are in the apparel industry and the fashion industry so that they can go ahead and they can give you their thoughts and their opinions on what you're trying to do, and then you can go ahead and you can make the decisions. And what I based that on was, okay, even though I played football, even though that I went to every level of playing football, high school, college, and then professional, I knew that even though that I wasn't in the apparel space, I knew that I had to assemble a team, okay? The team aspect was what I've done my whole entire life. And so I knew that I had to assemble a team and put a team together so that I can go ahead and have a successful business. And that's the thing that I learned in football, and that's the thing that I learned in business. Assembling your team, your infrastructure. And when I say infrastructure, I mean team as well. Okay? Very, very key and critical. And that's what I started doing. So my advisors and my board, they were like, Mark, you got to go out and you got to try to get somebody that is in the fashion industry, people that that know about apparel and fashion in the industry so that you can go ahead and you can kind of get their thoughts and opinions and make the decisions. And Karen Steen, I randomly called Karen. I don't even know how I got to Karen, but I ended up just talking to a couple of people and finding out that, one, Syracuse University had a fashion program, but then Cazenovia College has one as well. And so when I reached out to Karen and told her this story about me being a professional football player, I know she was probably on the other line saying, who is this crazy nut calling me, saying that he wants to do something with apparel. But thank goodness it worked out. Thank goodness that I told Karen my story of where I wanted to go. And then I told her that story about 21 years ago. But going now on to my 23rd year, Dreisig has been a mainstay here in Syracuse and central New York. And we're a mainstay across the country right now as well, where we're most dominant in the Northeast, and then we're scattered across the country. So that is a huge accomplishment. We've been in business for 23 years, and we've been going ahead and each year, despite the last 2 years because of COVID, but each year we keep on scaling and growing and going ahead and going through change. And Karen just touched on that as well. The change, evolve. That was one of the main things that we have to do as a business owner. I'm the CEO of Dreisig Apparel. We have other verticals now, so we do fashion and then we do design, we manufacture and distribute apparel across the country. I started Dreisig so that we can do athletic team uniforms. So football uniforms, basketball, baseball. The concept for Dreisig was to be the next Nike or Adidas or Under Armour. Okay, so that's how I founded the principles that I founded Dreisig with. And then now we have different verticals, we have different divisions. And that's what the key is. I started somewhere, and then we keep on evolving. We keep on changing. And that's the fashion industry. Now we have a state and government division. And a part of my state and government division is nothing that I thought we were going to be doing 22 years ago or 23 years ago when I started Dreisig. but we supply scrubs for hospitals. We supply textiles for hospitals. That's all a part of my state and government division. So evolving is key. Evolving is key for Dreisig, and it's a key for not just the evolution of the company, but expanding into future opportunities that you might have. And when you're coming into the fashion program, kind of seeing where that fit is of what you're going to do and where you're going to be able to adapt and adjust, that's what I say makes you special. Because everybody has to be flexible. Everybody has to have that flexibility so that you can adapt and adjust of the times and the circumstances. And that's what's going to make you special. So even though you might think of, all right, I want to do fashion at some point here before you get here or while you're here, that might change over time. That might change to where, again, you wanted to come in and kind of concentrate, and your passion was doing wedding gowns. But when you got here, things changed and other things clicked, and you went into a different passion. You went into a different mode. That's the evolution that I want everybody to go through. That's the evolution that I want every student to go through. Evolving is great, and that's what I've been able to do. So I started athletic team uniforms, and then now I have, again, scrubs. I'm providing scrubs and textiles for the hospitals. I'm supplying textiles for the hospitality industry. So we have hotels across the country that basically order stuff from us as well. That's all a part of the natural evolution of Dreisig and what we've been able to do and what we've been able to accomplish over the last 23 years. Again, 23 years ago, I never thought that I would be doing what I'm doing today, but it's a great thing, and it's a natural evolution of where we are. So coming in the beginning of my story and talking to Karen and trying to set it up for Dreisig, setting up that infrastructure is key. Setting up that team is key. And my thing is this: when I have interns and I have students from Cazenovia College that are doing like capstone projects for Dreisig, probably every 3 to 4 years, Karen and Megan, they kind of will allow their students come in as a capstone group and develop a new line for Dreisig. I do that for a reason. I do that so that, one, they can have that experience of working for a true company. Try to work as a team together so that you're collaborating and working as a team together with the students, and you try to figure out that common path and try to go ahead and say, yes, we can do this thing together. And they develop great lines for me. But the other thing is, it's just not for the students, it's also for me. Because it's a win-win situation no matter what we do. When those capstone groups come in and design whole entire lines for me, when the interns come in from Cass College and the fashion program and the merchandising program and they do internships for me, it is a win-win for both. Not just the student interning for Dreisig, but also Dreisig and having those students intern for us as well. That's what I want. I want students that come in, we give them tasks, we give them duties to do, to perform, but I want it to be where they're going to go ahead and they're going to be able to get results and be able to do tasks and meet deadlines and make sure that they are really, truly a part of the team. When I when I interview these interns and potential interns that come in to intern for Dreisig, during the interview process, I talk to them and I say, listen, I said, if you're afforded the opportunity to go ahead and be an intern for Dreisig, one thing that I want you to remember, yes, you're coming in and interviewing as an intern, but I want you to know, if you accept this internship, you are going to be a part of my team. I'm not going to introduce you as an intern. I'm going to introduce you as one of my staff for Dreisig. And I intentionally do that because I don't want the students to think, okay, well, I'm just an intern. I'm just doing this because I got to do it for college credit. No, I really, truly want them to be a part of my team, part of my infrastructure, and get a real world experience so that they're just not a gopher out there just going ahead and helping out and being an aid to my staff. So it really, truly has been a win-win situation for everybody involved when we can go ahead and we develop this relationship. And Karen and I, about 21 years ago, we developed this relationship between Dreisig Apparel, who is a national company now, and I was just based out of Syracuse, New York then. and what we're doing and what we're doing right now for Dreisig. So it really, truly evolves into something different. I started my career and I got the idea from for Dreisig. Again, playing professional football, I was lucky enough and humbled enough to say that I played professional football. I finished my last 6 years over in Germany, and hence that's our kind of like our main staple logo that we have, Dreisig Apparel. But does anybody know German in here? Anybody know German? Maria's smiling under that mask, I know. So, but Maria was one of my interns. Shamari was another one of my interns that interned for me here recently. Dreisig means 30 in German, and that's where I played my last 6 years of professional football. That's all a part of my story. And people say, oh my goodness, you know what, Mark, we love what you're trying to do. We want to buy into it. We want to help you out and try to get Dreisig to the next level. So Dreisig means 30 in German. That was my college football jersey number since playing at the University of Tennessee, and then also while I played professional football in Germany as well. Okay, the logo. Again, I started Dreisig to be an athletic apparel company, right? That's all I knew, 23 years ago. I just wanted to be an athletic apparel company like Nike and Adidas. So that logo in the middle of the circle, that's our logo. Instead of the Nike swoosh or the Adidas three-stripe, or the Under Armour logo, that's our logo that we put on all of our team uniforms, all of our active wear, all of our athleisure wear as well. And it's basically a 3 with the 0 coming around, okay? And so that's what we do. I go out and I tell my story. I go out and I pitch and try to develop the relationships between Dreisig and other companies and other factories and other distributors and other suppliers and manufacturers. That's what I do as a CEO of Dreisig, okay? My staff is doing the day-to-day stuff during the day, but that's for me, and being a successful company and being a successful CEO, I have to keep on expanding and building on that growth. So I go out and I meet with these, other CEOs and other owners of manufacturers and distributors so that we can go ahead and build the brand together. Everybody on my team knows specifically what they need to do so that we can all come together as one unit. And all the individual tasks and all the individual goals that we set, they all come together for a great accomplishment at the end of the day. I was honored enough to be going through these last couple of years. I'm an award-winning company, but I've been honored enough and humbled enough to where I did receive a couple of awards recently over the last couple of years and even longer, but more importantly over the last couple of years, because I've been able to go ahead and adjust and adapt and find a way on how I can pivot through COVID. The last 2 years has been the toughest time that I've ever had for Dreisig since the first beginning 5 years. Okay, every company has those, the first 3 to 5 years where you're trying to get established and trying to build the company. These last 2 years have been so difficult for Dreisig, and not just Dreisig, but other companies around the country and around the world, to be able to go ahead and survive the pandemic here over the last couple of years. I've been humbled enough to where I was awarded 3 awards over this time frame, and Dreisig was awarded 3 awards over this time frame, of where we've been able to go ahead and pivot and still drive business and stay in business during this time. And very, very humbled about that. I'm a certified minority business as well, and even though that we've been in business for 23 years, I got certified as a minority business. That was another angle that I learned a long time ago, that state and government agencies, they want to do a certain amount of business with minority businesses and minority companies. So I've been certified as a minority business, which is officially it's called a minority business enterprise. I've been certified for the last 15 years. And I'm not just certified in the state of New York. I do a lot of state and government business here for like the Department of Corrections, which is, again, all the jails and correctional facilities. So they're one of my accounts, the Department of Transportation, and we utilize because they got certified as a minority business. But we're certified in the state of New York. We're certified in the state of Tennessee. And just because of my connections down there and playing football collegiately at the University of Tennessee, I have a lot of customers and clients for state business down there in Tennessee. And then my third certification is the state of North Carolina, where we do a lot of business in North Carolina as well. So me having that certification and basically helped me out during the pivot. okay? The last 2 years when Governor Cuomo shut down the state, I knew a long time ago that my board said, Mark, you got to diversify, you got to be flexible, but you got to diversify what you're doing as a business. So I ended up starting that process years ago, never knowing and never thinking that a pandemic was going to have to help me implement that motion moving forward, and why I was able to go ahead and kind of adjust and be flexible with my offerings. So 60% of my business, which was, again, schools, colleges, athletic teams, sports teams, hospitality, right, hotels, not hospital business, but hospitals, restaurants. Basically, 60% of my private sector business was gone within a matter of a day. Everything shut down. So my pivot was I went ahead and I started concentrating on my 40% of my business was the state and government business. And that was my pivot. That's what worked. I started really relying on and going after and having all of my people and all of my staff, we started working on the state and government business. And that's what really truly kept us afloat over the last 2 years. And that's where, again, I've been recognized to have a successful pivot and have a successful business over the last 2 years or whatever for getting through the pandemic. Imagine that. You have a company, and then within a matter of a day, everything shuts down and you have no more business. Okay? That state and government business kept me afloat. That state and government business gave me an opportunity to not just keep on doing that, but excel in that and try to go ahead and keep on building on it. And that's what we ended up doing. So you got to adapt and adjust, right? But you're also going to have to do that as a student. You're also going to have to do that in the fashion world, right? You're going to have to adapt and adjust. Things aren't going to happen all the time where it's 100% positive and 100% good. Adapting and adjusting. Be flexible. Adapt and adjust. That's key. You got to be able to pivot sometimes. And you guys will go through that when you're here at Cass College or wherever you end up. But things are going to happen on a daily basis where you're going to be able to go ahead and say, listen, I need to go ahead and I have to look at things of where I am today. And if it's not going down the right path, then make sure you kind of tweak it and adjust it, and then you get back on track. Everybody's going to have obstacles. Everybody's going to have obstacles right through their journey. The difference between why I'm standing in front of you today and why I'm not is because I've been able to adapt and adjust and go through and get through the obstacles, find ways to get through, find ways to get around, find ways to go over top, underneath, whatever it took in order to get through the obstacles that were presented in front of me. And that's why I'm still here today, because I've been able to go ahead and do that. Everybody's going to have obstacles, but know where you are, know what you can do, and know that you have the heart and the desire so that you can go ahead and overcome those obstacles and keep moving forward. That's going to be very, very important in your life, and not just in academia, but also in life in general. Obstacles in life in general, you got to find a way to have the strength and the courage to get through them. Dreisig and what we mean of what I have in my future aspect of what we want and the ultimate goal for Dreisig is to be on the national level of where we are with like a Nike, an Under Armour, and Adidas. Okay? That was my vision, that was my mission when I first started the company 20-something years ago. We're not close to being that yet, but we're well above and well beyond where we were 23 years ago. And what I say by that is, I always say reach for the stars. When you're going ahead and you're trying to do everything that you're doing and trying to accomplish your goals, reach for the stars. Shoot for the stars, right? If you end up in the clouds, then you're still in a great place. You still move forward, upward and onward. Reach for the stars, but if you end up in the clouds, you're still in a great place. Because you want to know why? You're still not on the ground level, right? You're still not on the ground. And so for me, my example is, we have, again, everybody's heard of Under Armour and Nike and Adidas and all of these other companies or whatever that are out there and nationally and worldwide. But then a lot of people in the companies that I negotiate with, the companies that I work with and that are distributors of mine, those companies earn, 200, 300, 400 million dollars a year. Okay? People really haven't heard of those companies on the same scale of what they've heard about Nike and Adidas and Under Armour, but they're still doing 200, 300, 400 million dollars a year. That is what I'm talking about as reaching for the stars. If you don't get to the stars and you end up in the clouds, that's still a great thing. You still accomplish something that's great. But you have to get there. You have to have the desire to get there. You have to, again, overcome those obstacles to get there. And that's some of the great things or whatever that I've been able to go ahead and do and kind of take on from my sports background. My sports background gives me that competitive edge of where it is. It gives me that competitive fire. And I can tell you one thing, people have doubted me my whole entire life. And that's one thing that lights my fire. That's one thing that really burns my fire and fuels my fire, is when people doubt me. People have doubted me so many times and so many frequencies during the past 23 years and beyond. That's what gets me going. That's what motivates me. So something's got to motivate you. But getting here to Cass College, taking on that challenge, knowing that, yes, you can have a successful academic career here, you can get through the fashion program and the merchandising program here, that's great and it's critical. But don't let the obstacles stop you. Don't let anything stop you. You have a dream, you have a passion for what you want. That will be the winning edge. If you keep that fire and if you keep that flame, that's what's going to keep you going. My background gave that to me in sports. So, but if you don't play sports, you can still be competitive. You still want to be number one. You don't want to settle for, last place. Who wants to settle for last place? But always try your best. Always try your best. I don't know who watched the Super Bowl last week. Anybody watch the Super Bowl last week? Oh my goodness, only a couple of you, huh? All right. So I'm not into either one of the teams that was in the Super Bowl. My team is Dallas, unfortunately. They, that's a whole nother story. But the head coach of the Los Angeles Rams, McVay, he said, and I saw this quote last week, and I know I posted it on my LinkedIn page and also my social media. He said, "I will never be demeaning. I will never be demeaning, but I will always be demanding." And when I read that, I was like, that's me in a nutshell. I will never be demeaning. I will never tear you down. I will always be there for you, be sympathetic, be passionate for you, always be there for you. But I'm always going to be demanding the best from my staff, from my interns, from everybody that works with me. I'm always going to be demanding that I get your best, because that's what I put on myself. And I know my kids they probably know this far too well, and Karen knows my family very well. And but I'm very, very demanding on my kids, but I'm not demeaning. And does that make sense to everybody? You got to demand the best out of yourself. The faculty and the staff here at Cass College, again, I hope that I don't think that they're going to be demeaning, but they are going to demand the best. They're going to demand that you push yourself to the limit so that you can get your best out of what you're doing. Get the best of what you're doing and get it out and have your story come out. I love when my former interns get a hold of me, and I love when my former interns have people call me for references, okay? And I don't have my staff call back for these companies that are doing references of my past interns and trying to go ahead so they're trying to get a job in the real world. I take those calls personally. Why? Because I want them to know that, yes, the CEO and the president of the company is going ahead and giving my stamp of approval for those students that have worked for me. That's the difference. But I do push and I do demand my interns. I do demand the best that I can from my staff. And I demand the best that I can from my manufacturers and my distributors that I'm working with. It's all a part of it. It's all a part of this apparel and fashion ecosystem. Everything has to evolve. Everything has to come together and play in one harmony so that you can go ahead and be the best that you can be down the road. That's what the difference is. When you look forward to graduating and walking across that stage, that's the ultimate goal that you should have. Coming together, striving for the best, pushing yourself. When the obstacles find a way to come and kind of block your way and kind of is sitting in front of you and you don't know what to do, talk to others. Think about it, strategize, figure it out so that you can come up with a plan to get around that obstacle and keep moving forward. That's what I expect. Interns, my staff, I say, listen, you figure it out. But if you can't figure it out in a little bit, then that's when you come to me or you come to one of my staff, or if it was an intern, you come to one of my staff or you come to me. If you can't figure it out, I don't want you spending 5 hours on trying to figure something out. But you try to figure it out first. That's me pushing them so that they know, listen, let me see if I can figure it out. Let me see if I can come up with a way so that I can go ahead and I can move forward on my own. I will never be demeaning, but I will always be demanding. Okay? And I'm sure Maria and Shamari know that, right? But this is a part of the life of Dreisig. This is a part of the journey of Dreisig and what we're doing. We really, truly believe, and I really, truly believe that Dreisig is going in the right direction. I hooked up with one of the leading textile manufacturers and distributors in the world, a company that's based out of New York, the state of New York. I'm working in collaboration and partnership with him right now to take Dreisig to the big scale, to the big level. It took a lot of years to finally have this development happen, and then now it's reality. Now it's fruition. Then we hooked up with a manufacturer down in Florida. I did all of my customization for all of my team uniforms and athletic apparel, like my football uniforms, basketball, baseball uniforms. All that manufacturing was done in Tennessee up until last year. And now I moved to a different facility in Florida. So now myself, Dreisig is the brand, the textile manufacturer that's going to be concentrating on all the textiles and the mill work, and then the factory in Florida. We combined as like a trifecta so that we can go ahead and build the brand for Dreisig into a national powerhouse. I've been working on this for the last 3 years, and now it's coming to fruition right now. So you have to be patient sometimes. It's not going to happen overnight. It never, ever happens overnight. Under Armour didn't happen overnight. All of these brands that you see, they didn't happen overnight. It's taken time to get there. And Dreisig is on that same journey, taking the same time, but keep on making the right decisions so that we can go in the right direction. So Dreisig has been great. We've been going ahead and developing a relationship with Cass College. Again, when I first started talking to Karen, we were doing the fashion show, which I don't think a lot of people realize. We were doing the fashion show right upstairs in the cafeteria. That was where we did the fashion show. And I promised Karen, I said, 21 years ago, I said, Karen, if you help me out and we try to develop this thing and you help Dreisig out and we try to be there for me and give me advice and give me your thoughts and opinion about the apparel world and garments and color trends and all of this stuff, I said, I guarantee you we're going to build the brand for the fashion program here at Cass College so that we can compete with the Syracuse universities and the other fashion programs that are in the area. So going from the fashion show, annual fashion show upstairs in the cafeteria, to then going out to Turning Stone Casino one year, about 5 years ago, was that about 5 years ago? And then now for the last 4 or 5 years, we've been down at the Landmark Theater, obviously, pre-COVID. But then hopefully we'll get back on track, in the next couple of years to where we can have it at an Insight facility as well and get back on track with that. But that was an obstacle. How do we overcome that? We did it online. That's an obstacle. We had to kind of evaluate that. And Karen came to me and talked to me all the time, and Megan and Elise and, the people from the fashion program and the fashion department. They're like, Mark, do you have any ideas of what we can do? Because it's just not all fashion, it's also business. You got to have business sense and kind of make a business decision as well. And that's what I have. 23 years of experience, not just in business, but also in the fashion world or the garment and apparel, athletic apparel industry as well. In closing, I think one of the things that you really truly have to envision is, where do you see yourself 5 years from now, 2, 3, or 4 years after you graduate from Cass College? Where do you see yourself? You have to envision yourself where you're going to be, not just today, but also plan on the future. So where do you envision yourself? What direction are you going to go into? It's a journey. Everything in life is a journey. Your life is a journey. It's not a sprint, right? A sprint, you get there from A to B in 10 seconds. But your life is a journey. And that's what you have to keep in mind. Make those decisions. Envision where you're going to be, 2, 3, 5 years, 10 years down the road. And start planning on that. Setting goals for yourself. Try to understand who you are. Understand your limits. If you have limits in certain areas, try to work on those weaknesses. Those things that you really don't know a lot about, work on those. Because that's what's going to make you a better person. That's what's going to make you a better student. And then if you build up those weaknesses and you combine them with the skills and the strengths that you already have, that's what's going to make you excel faster. I promise you that. My weakness was more so, again, financially and going over balance sheets and fiscal sheets and everything for my company. I had to learn that. I didn't say I liked it, but I'm saying I had to learn it, right? In order for me to be a successful CEO of a company, that was one of my weaknesses that I had to learn. And I got it drilled into me by my wife because my wife is a CPA. So I had it, hands-on right there, right next to me all day, every day, learning, finances and accounting. So my wife is a CPA for New York State. And so I took that weakness that I had, put my team together and asked my team for help and said, I need to learn this stuff so that I can make the right decisions for Dreisig. So envision where you want to go. Dream high. Always shoot for the stars. And wherever you land up, it's going to be a lot better than where you're going to be right here on the ground. Does that make sense to everybody? Right? Dream big. Don't dream small. Listen, if I started Dreisig 23 years ago and I said, okay, well, I want to go ahead and I want to start Dreisig so that I can be, the best company supplying apparel in Syracuse, I would still be here in Syracuse, just strictly here in Syracuse doing it, like other companies. My vision was to be a national company, and that's where we are now. We're a national company. We're scattered across the country. We're more dominant in the Northeast, but that's what we're building on now so that we can have that more national potential and have accounts more so across the country. Don't think small. Think big. Know that you can do it. It's the dedication in your heart that's going to help you out. Your skill level is one aspect of it, but trust me, playing sports, your heart takes you to another level if you can go ahead and just dig deep into your heart and strive for more and strive for better for yourself. So I wish everybody the best of luck in your academic journey. I wish everybody the best of luck in your personal lives. Cass College is a great college for the potential of everything that you want to do. The Cass community, the Cass fashion program, and the Cass merchandising program. If those are the programs that you want to get into, Cass is the right place for you. Thank you so much. I appreciate the time. Any questions? Questions? No? Any? Sure? Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate the time.